Alright, welcome to Now You Know Destiny, your one-stop lore pod showcast for the world of Destiny. Today's stop on the lore train is the Season of Opulence and Shadowkeep. I'm the main man, the halfway lazy warlock, VulshokBersrker.
And I am LostAngelofHavik, a hunter stalking the shadows while my ghost currently has me drugged up on coffee.
And I'm Frog, your friendly explosions now, res later hunter.
Alright, let's jump right into this. The Season of Opulence begins with a little bit of a prelude to Emperor Callus beginning to breed royal bathers to be a shadow of Hive. They had an old relic that was connected to Hive magic on one of their this is a difficult word, Athenaeum worlds, which I believe the definition is a world of knowledge. It's a hard word to spell, so I can't really, do a quick Google search to find Athenaeum.
I've got it right here. Used in the names of libraries or institutions for literary or scientific study.
Yes, okay, so it essentially is a world of knowledge and study. And this relic was the Crown of Sorrow. The psionic, scientists, by Cabal standards, scientists,
Oh boy.
studied the crown and determined that it can control Hive if the user has a strong enough will. So this is where Callus goes to start breeding a bather to be the Shadow of Hive, to wear the crown. The only problem was that it was a trick by Zavathun, where the function of the crown, the Scion's thought worked, was the opposite. Whoever wore the crown would be controlled by the Hive. So as soon as Galran
Galran.
put on the Crown of Sorrow, Zavathun took his mind and basically became a pawn for her.
AKA Savathun went yeet.
And wasn't it originally supposed to be a trap for Callus himself?
Possibly, but I mean, I'm pretty sure Zavathun wasn't mad that she took control of a powerful Cabal anyways.
That's fair. And that's the story behind the Crown of Sorrow raid. Is you run through the underbelly of the Leviathan, and then eventually you fight Galran.
Yeah.
I can't speak.
Callus sent us to kill Galran because he had no longer any use for him.
And we begin the raid in part of the Menagerie deck.
Yes.
That's right.
The previously unexplored deck of this massive ship that should come as no surprise to anybody that there's unexplored decks of it.
Well, let me Google real quick. The size of Nessus. It has a diameter of 57 kilometers. So that means
What?
Nessus is an actual Plutoid that's orbiting the solar system.
No, yeah, that I understand. But the diameter of Nessus is only 57 kilometers?
Yes. Let's do
tiny.
Transfer that to miles real quick. It's a Plutoid. 35 miles of diameter. It's basically an oversized asteroid that's smooth. A quick description of Nessus here. We have it's a centaur, a dynamically unstable population of minor planets between classical asteroids and the trans-Neptunian objects. It has a distance of 11.9 to 37.4 AU. An AU is the distance between the Earth and Sun, so it's 11 to 37 of those. Its rotation is 122 years and 4 months long. Fun fact, not related to the game at all. Since we have discovered Pluto, it has yet to make a revolution around the sun.
What? Since we've discovered Pluto, it's yet
About
to make a
70
revolution?
years ago, it has yet to make a revolution around the sun.
That actually makes sense, considering it's like the outer orbit of our solar system, as far as I'm aware.
I would say it's like the inner outer, because the Pluto kind of starts the Kuiper Belt, which is where the rest of it's Plutoids. Anyways, I'm going to this Nessus tangent here for a second. Try to give scale to the size of the Leviathan.
Yeah.
You fly in. Let's say, for example, the maw of the Leviathan, the mouth, where Nessus is being eaten. I would say it's double the diameter of Nessus. So from the largest points of the mouth end to end is, I would say, around 66 miles wide. And I would hazard to guess that as a very conservative measure, that the width of that is also the length of the ship. And if we assume it's an irregular volume, but if we assume rectangular volume, it's 36. It's 65 by 65 by maybe 36 miles. I'm gonna do quick math on that.
I don't know. I always imagine Nessus being bigger, which means
that's
I always felt
143,650 miles cubed.
Well, I think that ideally speaking, like an oversized asteroid would still be pretty large in comparison to like I still feel like that would be, human size, people, human-sized people. I feel like humans in comparison to like a larger asteroid is still like something that we could probably like land on it and stuff like that. Like it's,
Yeah.
Well, if you want to put this
a very
perspective,
small
if we
space.
just assume square mileage, like just the one side of the Leviathan, longest wise, it's 4,200 miles squared. New York is only 302.
Oh, okay.
So the square mileage of just the Leviathan is 14 New Yorks, and then you add another dimension for volume.
See, yeah, no, I always thought it would be bigger. If we're talking, it's about 14 New Yorks. I would have imagined. Now, is that New York City or New York State?
New York City, just New York City.
I would have expected more along the lines of like all of New York State. Although I don't know the square mileage of New York State.
So, okay, yeah. Oh, wow, that's crazy. So, yeah, the diameter of Nessus is 60 kilometers, 37 miles. The diameter of the moon is 2,100. It's a lot smaller than you'd think. I would hazard a guess that maximum, the Leviathan is the size of our moon. Maximum.
See, I could work with that. I mean,
the size of our
moon,
what?
Our moon.
I mean, if anything else, credit to the artists for really just making Leviathan seem so massive when you go visit it. It feels endless.
And to circle back around, the reason why I went through all this math is to show that we have 3 raids, now four raids in the Leviathan, and yet we have all this undiscovered area. There's an entire city on one point of it, which I'm going to, take another hazard to guess is the size of New York, that one city.
Yeah, you know what? I actually feel like the Leviathan might be the place we have the most area we can participate in.
Walk around in. I think the closest place that might rival that is the Cosmodrome, because it has the Cosmodrome plus the Plague Lands.
All right.
And then you think all of the little caverns and stuff that are underneath. I would say if Leviathan is number 1, Cosmodrome might be a close number 2, with the moon being the 3rd.
Yeah.
Or maybe Nessus being the 3rd. Nessus is pretty big, map-wise. Anyways, just trying to show the scale of Leviathan, all these places we've been and have not been yet there, showing examples of possible, stuff we haven't seen yet, stuff Callus wants us to destroy. Like Galron, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We do some menagerie stuff with him. He's like, I like you. You fixed our ship, killed a guy who tried doing a coup against us. Have some fun in my inner chambers of the menagerie. Go battle a minotaur in my throne room.
He's also trying to not so sneakily recruit us.
Yes, that too. He has seen, I'm going to say, the glory to him of our guardian, and he wants to make us his newest and first of the new generation of shadows, which, in this case, not the shadows of yore, but to him, Callus shadows are an elite squadron under the Emperor himself. The old generation of shadows were all killed by Gaul.
Think like fire teams of guardians, basically. That's what the shadows for Callus were, essentially.
The big difference is they were not just Cabal. You had a Fallen, a Cabal, a Scion, an Arcborn, which is a really weird living being. It's living arc energy, and they the way they describe it, I believe that's arc superconducting streams on cosmic scale. If I remember correctly, that's an Arcborn. Not direct. It's made of the pure element arc, and has a consciousness.
It has a consciousness, and they have anchors typically on their home world. They have, each of them have their own like particular anchor, and basically Callus for the Fulminator had his scions craft a pressure suit that could contain her essence, and she could essentially, you know, detach part of it to let loose her power in a concentrated form, which is where the design, let's say that a lot of the Eater World's armor and the initial Leviathan armor were all kind of derivative of,
For the hunters at least,
yeah, or all derivative of the races that those particular shadows belong to.
It was a very elite squadron, and they all were killed by Gaul because apparently he was strong. But now Callus wants to make us the new Guardian, the new Shadow, the Shadow of Earth.
If I may say, I gotta be honest, I took personal offense that literally every time Callus needed something, he was like, "Yeah, so you come into my ship, right?" And I'm like,
well,
do I really have to? We got that
you
loot.
think he's gonna do the work himself?
Yeah, but like, come on, yo, like. At some point, we as Guardians have to have some dignity. Like, will we literally do anything for the loot?
Yes. Absolutely.
Have you not been playing this game for the last 6 years?
You right.
Do you have any idea?
That's
how
got
many
vexed.
weeks
That's got.
I did strange terrain to get the Braid Tech, whatever rocket launcher for Wayfarer.
Yeah, but like we be doing some wild shit, bro. Like, remember the vaulted glass armor?
I grind Gambit to kill a meatball to get a ship and a gun and a sparrow.
Yeah, I'd do it again.
Gambit?
No. Do it again.
Oh, I enjoy Gambit personally.
Sometimes.
I love Gambit.
Anyway, we're getting a little sidetracked here.
Sorry.
But yeah, with Crown of Sorrows, we were sent to kill Gowron for the loot, as we were just talking about. I still haven't gotten my Taraba personally.
I did parts of Crown of Sorrow last night. I did not get any exotics. It was the first time I did a raid since the opening of Crown of Sorrow first week.
Oh wow.
I did Crown of Sorrows the first week, and I got the jacket.
Nice.
Back when I was playing on PlayStation, and I have not done a raid since until last night.
And then I think it would not have been with Crown of Sorrow because that came with Opulence. But at what point did Callus really see that he wanted us to work for him?
It was, I want to say, right before Crown of Sorrows raid. Let me look. I got the entry pulled up here. Let me read it real quick. Let's see. Lightborn Joy. He's talking about the Leviathan, Eater of Worlds. Yeah, it's right before Crown of Sorrow.
Okay.
Because he mentions the first 3 Leviathan raids and you going into Menagerie. Oh no, wait. Okay, the day you gallantly slew Galaran. So it's right after the Crown of Sorrows raid. He sees that and it says Golden Chalice in hand. That was the day I truly knew we were meant to be together. So the moment we kill Galaran is the moment he thinks, oh, this dude's my soulmate.
My man was sitting there writing letters to Guardians like he was Stan from that Eminem music video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then, he gives us that chalice, which lets us unlock the Menagerie rewards for even more specialized loot, actually.
Yes, like a reimagined Exodus Down set, a reimagined Prodigal set, and reimagined D1 weapons with Opulence style, and beginning D2 weapons as well. Crown Splitter.
Yeah.
I love that sword. It looks so good.
All of that fun stuff, really.
Oh, yeah. D1 Hawkmoon in Opulent style is what the Austringer.
Yes.
People love that gun. I'm not really keen on slow rate of fire hand cannons.
Personally, I'm not familiar. I never had the joy of playing Destiny 1. So everything I know is like secondhand. And
I mean, you can still play the demo whenever right now.
Well,
the
I only
demo
have a
was
PC.
free. Oh, you only have a PC? Okay,
Yeah.
Okay. You're a little blocked in there. I'm pretty
Little
sure.
bit.
I'm pretty sure it'll be like maybe a cracked version somewhere. So we go in Crown of Sorrows. We do the whole raid. We kill Gowran. Okay, Alice is like, I like this guy. Let's make him a shadow. And this is kind of where we take a step back and we have to give some more pre-explaining. After Callus was exiled by Gaul and the consul from their homeworld, which there is a name for it. I don't remember the name for it. I think it starts with a T or a Q.
Toro battle.
There you go. Or Torobal. He gets exiled and with the Leviathan, and he goes towards anywhere really, and he hits something, the edge, as he called it, the end. He goes out by himself in a pressure suit. His pressure suit cracks, and he comes back, and he tells his psionic scribes that he has a vision of the end. Him standing alone as the dark and the end consume everything else. Him being the last living thing in the universe. Now, as the Emperor's personal scribes and historians, it is their job, with their clairvoyance abilities, to write the events leading up and explanations to this vision of his. Now, there was one scribe who thought this was all foolishness, that Callus was just hallucinating based on oxygen deprivation and in deep space. But every other scribe was like, you're an idiot. This man Callus here, the festival bringer, the feast giver. I mean, I could name more titles for Callus. He's got like 12 of them.
And most of them are self-appointed, aren't they?
Mostly, yes. The Golden Emperor.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm convinced that most of the signs were like, we've seen this guy give himself a bunch of titles. He's a little bit crazy, but we just get to sit around and write whatever the hell we want, and then we get rewarded for it? Not so bad.
Some of his titles are the Chief Gift Giver, the Good Host with a Generous Banquet, the Prince of Mirth, the Lord of Laughter, the Master of Celebrations, the Patron of Festivity, and the Emperor of All Joys. Which you would read and think like, oh, he's good at parties. He may have been a very anti-combat Cabal for Cabal standards, because Gaul was like, you're being too easy, you're really corrupt, we need to be militaristic. If even by Cabal standards, there's a vision we will cover eventually. It's actually the first vision where they have a play of the Red War and the Guardian killing Gaul, and they actually kill the actor playing Gaul. Not as stage play, they shoot a blanket on him. They physically kill the actor to keep the authenticity correct.
Yeah, that's Callus.
Yep.
That's Callus.
It's so extra, and I love it.
He is so party going that he wants to. He can do whatever he wants. He's the Emperor.
And I love the fact that what are they going to do? Stop me? And then he was exiled from his homeworld, and he's like, that's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep partying through the universe.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, this is during right after the Red War, we're a little suspicious of Callus, but he seems to be a good dude. But this DLC brings it in a whole new light. This dude is a maniac. He's crazy. He just doesn't care. He's like the Destiny Joker.
Ultra rich, ultra frat boy.
He's like the Dark Knight Joker. Just fat, an alien, and loves parties.
He is hedonism bot.
Oh my
god. That is my headcanon for Callus is hedonism bot from Futurama.
You know what? I can work with that.
Never watched it.
That's a shame. It's a wonderful show. It's a wonderful show that managed to okay, so a lot of TV shows don't have good endings. Futurama is a show, in my opinion, that managed to end well 3 times because it kept getting canceled and uncanceled.
Yeah, wasn't the last bit of it just movies?
Futurama?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, that's right. They did get final seasons.
They got final seasons, and every time it was canceled, it had a really good ending. I can work with the hedonism bot because we've never met actual Callus, haven't we? It's always been the Callus robots made of his own skin suits.
Real shit.
We've also met the shadow head of Callus during the first Leviathan raid.
Callus really could be fucking Toland. Not saying Callus is Toland. I'm just saying he could be completely disembodied at this point.
It's implied that Callus is disembodied. He has it's implied that Callus's powers he gained maybe it's also implied that he gained these powers by going to the end. That
See,
he's a bit of a shadow puppeteer.
maybe, but thing is aren't the callus spots supposed to be like lined with his own skin?
Yes.
Yes.
He's got to keep making it, so to speak. And so like that's why I don't know how I feel about him being just a disembodied entity.
Well,
What
it's
if
not,
he is
it's like it's
so
in disembodied.
fat,
It's in
right?
disembodied that like it's no longer he's no longer part of his original body. Disembodied.
Maybe his original body is just sitting in one of those cloning tanks.
It could be. It
Maybe.
could also be the case that he shed his original body to form into his true self, which is a representation of his soul, which is even more fat.
Yeah, I had a thought.
He could,
the moment.
he could literally
Did
be
you say
like,
which is even more
he
fat?
could, no, I'm saying like in the sense wise that he could literally be the personification of gluttony and greed and ecstasy.
When Havoc said he's just really that big, I just had the thought of, I know, and it's probably really stupid, and it's definitely really stupid. But what if he is the Leviathan, and like they just go down?
I just was thinking that.
They just go down
because the Leviathan exists. I mean, the Leviathan existed before Callus.
I know, but it was just a really funny thought in my head. I wouldn't hold.
We're inside Callus at the moment. Leviathan.
Oh boy,
that's why his voice echoes around everywhere. Anyway, okay, we're being off track for a little bit here.
Yeah.
So the scribes, the Scions actually have a bit of clairvoyance. They can see the future to a certainly good degree. The only problem is they're writing records about our guardian, a paracausal being. So the records are not going to be very accurate because the light interferes with the simulations of futures, since we make our own fate.
Right.
So this is a reason why some of the records are very weird, really weird. Like failsafe becomes 2 exos and one of them kills the other. Weird.
Oh, that's right. That
you have Exodus and then down, and then one kills the other, and then you also have failsafe as an exo herself. So there's like 3 of them. It's weird.
I don't remember it being 3 of them. I heard what I remember is failsafe's double personalities being split into different exo bodies.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just there's another record of like there's a side note of each record has an asterisk at the bottom of a scribe giving his personal notes to the other scribe writing it. One of them was failsafe is an artificial intelligence not named Exodus or Down. Please amend this once on the actualization of this history. So they're leaving a lot of room up for interpretation because they can't be exact.
True. Yeah.
Because they make changes to the once this history is actualized, once it happens. And to start off with, the first of these records is the vision of the Cabal Emperor Callus crowning the player guardian as the Shadow of Earth. They have a grand play where, like I said earlier, they reenact the Red War, the death of Gaul. The actor Tor Tarkal is literally killed and carried away at the very end of this play, just because that's the way Gaul died. They served courses of foods, and picture this: psionic dancers were the second event.
Yeah.
I don't want to think about Scions doing any type of dances, man. Let's just be honest.
See, when I imagine that, I think of like Scions and traditional Indian garb dancing like people from India.
Little kiss, fire gun.
So I think of like dance numbers from Bollywood. That one scene in Big Bang Theory where Raj dances. Or
no, I could actually get behind some like that. That would actually be pretty tight.
Because Callus gives me a very Egyptian feel, and the colors of Egypt and India to me are like the clothing can kind of similar in their old traditional fashion.
See, I always just with how Callus is described, I'm imagining almost like classic Viking feels.
It's weird. It's a combination. It's a combination of a little bit of Viking because the brutality it happens. Egyptian on the colors mainly, and then very very Roman.
Yeah,
Because I feel like Roman emperors were also quite like Callus. They had all this power. They didn't care. They could do whatever they want. They had a Colosseum where they literally watched men fight lions. I feel like that'd be very up Callus's alley, especially since Gaul was a gladiator who fought his way in an arena to get to Callus's favor.
that's right. Yeah, Romans didn't pop up for me for some reason, even though they're like super militaristic.
Also, the fact that these records we're referencing are all in Roman numerals.
It's also massive fan fiction.
Yes, every record we're reading at this moment is just basically fan fiction written by the Psionic scribes because they can't be for sure on this stuff.
To summarize, we mocked everybody. Some Guardian just went beast mode on every fucking
We
body.
killed almost the entire current cast on the Vanguard side and anyone near them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have this feast where we are now the shadow of Earth. This next record begins as Callus wanting us to recruit new shadows to fill the ranks to create a new elite guard.
And
So
essentially,
we go around.
and essentially, like anyone we didn't kill them because we recruited them. Is what I feel like.
Yeah. Well, we didn't kill a lot of the. I mean, we'll talk about it later on once the killing starts.
Right.
So the Guardian first recruits Mithrax as the shadow of the Elixni, because the records actually correctly show that he is the Kel of the House of Light, which is true. They did predict that correctly. And then the Guardian, I don't know how, convinces Petra Venge to become a shadow of the Awoken, which, like, to me, is breaking her vow to the Queen.
Absolutely. I wonder, and don't we as the Shadow kill Marasov at some point?
Yes, one of the records on the armor pieces from the menagerie describes our Guardian killing the Queen. So I don't know how Petra would feel about
Ain't
that.
gonna be me. Y'all know how I feel about
Maybe
mine.
it was a thing of recognition of power, but that's a bit hand wavy.
Petra reveres Mara, though.
Yeah.
It's what I don't get about. See, this is where these records are weird. They miss some of the personality of the people. Now we have this fire team of 3: an Elixni, Mithrax, an Awoken, Petra, and whatever your Guardian is Guardian. And the next task Callus sends us on is to reclaim an Athenaeum world of lost technology. In this case, it's called Athenaeum World X because they forgot the name of it. It's been lost to time. And I just feel like Callus is like, yeah, whatever was his world called, Athenaeum X, that's what we're called. Go take it.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is very like, when it relates to the end to our Guardian to parties, he's very like into it. But I feel it's personal opinion. I feel like he's like doesn't care about anything else. So he's like, yeah, just go do this.
Yeah, I can see that. And so we flew to recover this world, which was filled with creatures that could permanently harm even beings of the light. And it was a hard-fought battle for us, which I think is interesting because in the sense that of how much Callus reveres us, I feel like he would say that we just take care of whatever we want effortlessly?
Yeah, before the records, he's like, you do everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Effortlessly.
And so maybe he just wants to show the scale of how messed up this world was that he wanted back, or like why he couldn't do it before he got us involved.
Maybe. It's hard to tell. These records are mainly about events, not like reasons.
Yeah, that's true. And in our struggle, we won, but at the cost of Mithrax. Mithrax, the Shadow of the Elixir, was unfortunately killed by these creatures, which could permanently kill beings of light. But we won back a planet with just a huge magnitude of information and technology that probably would have set Callus forward a millennia or two.
Yeah. It was in the records that described it as hundreds of years of lost technology that advanced the war capabilities of Callus greatly. Like in that once they recovered that world, they became the most powerful army in the solar system instantly. Even if they didn't fully understand or equip their army with the weapons and stuff they found in that world. Which is just baffling. Because you think, imagine hundreds of years worth of just technological information and weapons covering Earth. And that's basically what they got.
Yeah.
Because an Athenian world filled with knowledge and technology and study. I could not even begin to like how long it would take to decipher and understand everything on that world. But they used what they could and built the Cabal Empire up. I believe at this point they basically controlled the entire outer ring of the system.
And so with our new weapons and technology and information, we ended up in a fight with the Vanguard.
Yes, they were very threatened by this sudden increase in threat.
Callus had a new hold in the solar system. The Vanguard was threatened, and they even went so far as to work with Rasputin, which that's a bit of a weird phrasing, as went so far as to. It's more a thing of it was a big enough deal for Rasputin to get involved, which Rasputin's always been more of a sideliner, I feel like.
Yeah. He's always been like, I'm going to stay on the sidelines, but if humanity's about to die, I'm stepping in. So he treated this event as a humanity's about to be wiped out event.
Right. Although, from what it seems like the Vanguard started it, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%. The Vanguard declared war, the first time they had ever done that. Which is out of character for Zavala. He's very much about preventative measures and stopping anything from getting close to the city. But he has never I don't think he's ever gotten close to outright declaring war on an entity that has yet to attack the city.
I mean, I personally feel like, I think that, in the event of any Guardian that's especially powerful siding with Callus, I could totally see alarm bells going off.
Yeah.
I mean,
because let's just imagine for a second if Saint 14, for example, was just like, all right,
back in the day, Dark Age Saint 14.
Yeah, let's just say he's just like, all right, this is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And he's just with, that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like,
Saint 14
or Osiris or something
like
like that. Like
joining the Vex.
Right.
Back in the Dark Age.
That would be insane. Like, I couldn't imagine any sort of scenario where you don't take like a firm action. You know what I mean? Some things just can't be left alone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I understand. I mean, as much as I will get flack for this because y'all know how I feel as a hunter, but I could understand Zavala's reservation about turning the entire force of Guardians into an army to essentially raid the reef for Uldren or whatever. I could see how that could be problematic or whatever, and not necessarily well advised, but something like a Guardian or a group of powerful Guardians joining Callus, I don't really see how that scenario doesn't end with us going to war, because that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, it's essentially the same thing as back in the day with you having the Iron Lords to deal with the warlords. You know what I'm saying? I mean, It doesn't necessarily have to be a massive military conflict, but when you have powerful light bearers, in a position of power and opposition to the city and all the people that we have to defend and stuff, you kind of have to make a decision.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's also been a
kind
case.
of ultimate-ish.
Yeah. But I mean, what about the case of Dredge and Yor? He was using the Thor in the Crucible, and all they really did was kick him out of the Vanguard. They didn't really hunt him
He
down.
permanently killed a Guardian in the Crucible.
And they didn't do much about it except kick him out of the Vanguard.
Well, they exiled him.
I think with the Dredge and Your situation, the city actually had stable leadership. You know, you had your speaker and the factions and all that stuff, and the Vanguard.
But out of just for the speaker though, he would have been up in airs about a Guardian permanently dying in their Crucible by
right,
another
but listen,
Guardian.
right?
Exactly.
Right.
Who's using a weapon of darkness in the city.
I mean, but listen, to be fair, we're assuming that that specific information actually got back to the speaker.
100% it did. 100%.
There's no way it didn't.
Shax was not the Crucible manager at the time, so 100% it came to it. 100%. There was no way an event like that does not reach their ears. That's like saying no one heard of the Hiroshima bomb going off during that time. Everyone knew about it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Vanguard declares war. And this is the first time where our Guardian, other than, Cade's death, has an explosion of anger and rage. They tell the Vanguard that they have solved every single problem that has arisen for the city since they were resurrected. They stopped the Red War. They defeated the Taken King. They are the Young Wolf. They broke the curse of Osiris. They stopped the end. Maybe not stopped the end. There was one other piece. They did all of this, and from their point of view, the Vanguard just turned on them. So our Guardian told the Vanguard to be ready, for war was coming. And it was an understatement. They completely obliterated the Hellas Basin, destroying Rasputin, and killed every member of the Vanguard.
We finished them. We finished everything. And
fatality.
And sometime after, a portal opened in
the Leviathan.
The Leviathans. And through that portal came Savathun, which I find somewhat interesting.
Yeah, these records are very opportunistic.
Yeah.
Why? She's been playing the shadow game for so long. Why does she show up?
Hey, this Guardian just literally wiped out the entire Vanguard and the most dangerous Warmind we've ever seen. This is the perfect time. Maybe it was. Maybe they thought we'd be exhausted.
This is the perfect time to go to their mothership, where they now live.
And so, by Callus's orders, we slaughter all of the hive that he's been keeping in the ship, and then we fight Savathun. She runs back to her throne world. We follow her and give her a true death.
Which, out of all these records, I want that one to happen, because I really want to raid Taken King Scale against Savathun.
Yeah, if we don't get a King's Fall style raid for Savathun, I'm gonna be pissed.
Gods, and she better be if she ever
I think
becomes
that's
a raid, I want her to be bigger than Oryx, size wise.
I think that's the only thing that would bother me really, as far as with everything that's kind of happening right now. If we never get a Savathun, King's Fall, Last Wish style,
it would
raid,
have to be a raid, because just how they've been building her up, and just because she's basically in the same power scale as Oryx.
Yeah.
But now she's even more powerful.
Except she's not dead and has been collecting power.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I could go on. We have Savathun and herself. Everything she's done is crazy. So that's a topic for another time. Because some of the stuff she does makes no sense. But somehow it works. Because she's so cunning.
She's clearly playing 5D chess, and Callus is only playing 4D chess.
Checkers. He's playing checkers, and she's playing 5D chess.
No. Callus is playing chess. It's the Vanguard who are playing checkers.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, so we kill Savathun, and then as a celebration, Callus turned the entirety of the destroyed Hellas Basin into a monument of might and beauty and renamed it the Temple of Revelry. And now Earth, since there's no longer a vanguard, is under Callus's domain. They begin to celebrate the feast of Emperor Callus, where they don masks and eat great bounties. These records now continue on saying, 118 years after the Sol system is under Callus's control. So it's 118 years after the death of the Vanguard, the death of Zavathun, the death of Rasputin, that the solar system is under the control of the Cabal, and our Guardian is a shadow of it. Which is a long time for like nothing to happen. It takes 118 years for the darkness, the end, to show up. And this begins a massive war across the universe. But only the people under Callus's rule don't go to war and continue to feast and celebrate because they know this is the only time they can before their end.
You know, I would have expected that they go to war, but they go to war essentially on the side of the darkness and just make sure that they make sure that they are absolutely the only ones left.
What? No, Callus has the vision of him at the end, so he already assumes that's going to happen.
That's a good point.
So he doesn't have to do anything because he has already seen the future. I mean, you could still do that as make it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
But you could just let the rest of the universe kill everything else, and you just sit by and watch.
Well, he partied his way to the end. We all did. And as the war against the darkness fought, we partied on, and eventually everyone died until it was just our guardian, the Shadow of Earth, and Callus, and our ghost. This one makes me sad personally. Our ghost appeared to us. It leaves us a final message of love and appreciation, and then we kill it. And then...
Our ghost literally tells us, as a final word, I love you. And we just crush it in our hands.
My heart.
And then with that, Callus turns to us, kills us, and his wish...
It's a very heartwarming moment. The Callus is like, you are my greatest shadow, a true friend. And then our guardian is like, you have been a great friend as well. And my emperor, please allow me to grant your wish to be the final one. And then he kills him.
Did they say how Callus decided to kill us?
I think he snaps
it was with
our
a
neck.
sword or something.
He chokes us and snaps our neck.
That's not very friendly.
I believe that's how it played out.
I'll be damned, yo. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just, that's a very excruciating and not very swift or friendly way to go. I would have expected better from Callus.
Really? It's Callus.
Yeah, and he has to do everything extravagantly in his own way. We have this heartwarming moment.
It doesn't really...
That's true.
It doesn't...
That's true. Drown me in the royal bath.
It doesn't really say. It just says our merciful emperor slew his shadow of shadows, the young wolf, the slayer of Oryx, the shadow of earth. But it does say the emperor reserved the right to be last. When the end came, he met it with the body of the shadow in his arms, his belly rumbling in joyous laughter.
Just imagining Jabba the Hutt holding like a crippled guardian.
That's some imagery.
As Callus meets the end of the
drooling
universe, last living being to die, this ends the future records written by the Emperor's scribes.
God, the future records.
Real quick, can you just imagine just Callus sitting there?
Yep.
Drooling and shit over our body? Can you just imagine that?
I'd really rather not.
Who would be his little weird pet in this scenario?
Oh, because those rulers always have some weird thing as a pet.
Yeah, because Jabba the Hutt has that weird laughing pet that attacked Leia. What would his little pet be? A scion?
A scion?
A war beast?
Probably a naked Scion on a chain or
No,
something.
I don't go. No.
See, for some reason,
You
my
asked.
thought was the exo failsafe that killed the other one. I don't know why. I have no reasoning behind that. But just
Interesting. Let's not visit that because that's some deep stuff there.
it's fair.
The records are over, and we go to the last event of Opulence, which is Shin Malphur purging the shadows of yore from any guardian who stepped too far into the darkness, away from that gray line between light and dark. He then decides to give our guardian the thorn, the true thorn, Dredgen Yor's thorn. The thorn in D1 was a replica, and this one is the true thorn. And it's in a way, he gives it to us as a test to see if we could walk the line between light and dark. But I believe, to his surprise, we take the thorn and we actually are able to purify it and turn it into the first weapon of light.
That's really cool, and I feel
Lumina.
like we need more guns that have that kind
Called
of
Lumina.
ideas.
I remember the it was really fun kind of speculating what Lumina was before we actually got its name.
Oh yeah.
And then I had an aha moment when they released the Season of Opulence, like, you know, promo page where they were showing all the weapons and stuff like that, and all my friends were like, everybody was kind of talking about the weapons and stuff like that, and they talked about Rose before we knew it was Rose, and everybody's like, oh, I wonder what this is gonna be or whatever. I'm like, that's Rose, and people were like, nah, yo, like
Thorns on
Rose
the
would be
gun.
probably
You
something.
called them
I'm
out.
like, well, I was like, well, if you look at Rose, right, like, even without like going super deep into like the build of the weapon, right, like, you had all this like opulent gold and jewel encrusted weaponry and armor and stuff, and then you had this basic ass hand cannon just chilling there, and it's a revolver too, and it's like, that's probably Rose.
Well, in the old Grimoire, the thorn was described to have petals, and Dredgen eventually realized it had thorns, which there are small thorns on the Lumina, but not like the.
But I'm
thorn.
not talking about. Well, I'm not talking about, because at first, at least I know me and my friends had discussed. We were like, well, that gun is probably Rose, because, you know, we didn't know Lumina was its name, right?
Wrong per se.
Exactly, right. But then
Lumina
when
was
we
hard to predict.
Then after they released the roadmap and they put the promo page out with all the weapons, and then we knew what Lumina was at the time, I saw that the base form of Rose, and I was like, well, this has got to be Rose, because we know what Thorn looks like, we know what Lumina looks like. This has got to be the in-between.
Yeah, we get Thorn, we purify it to Rose, and then we enhance it with light to Lumina, which is it's a very unique gun, because it's the only gun that heals you if you shoot someone with it, right? You shoot someone with it?
So the way it works is, when you kill enemies, you store light in the gun, and then when you shoot the gun without aiming down sight, it shoots a little heal ball that will
tracks, that's right.
Track
It will
an
heal.
ally.
Yeah, that's right.
I've always wanted to like give it a legitimate try in like a strike or something with some friends.
It would you would have to do like a full healer white mage setup. You'd have to do well, healing rift, all that shebang.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. It'd be fun. Just
Sounds-
do it
sounds
one day.
interesting.
Yeah,
to
I
see how it work
wouldn't do
out.
it, because if I was playing with Lei here, I'd have to focus on him all the time.
Okay.
That's
No,
fair.
Okay. So that ends
I'm
the
giving you the
season
middle
of
finger and
Opulence,
just throwing that out there.
and now brings us into year 3 of Destiny 2 with Shadowkeep.
Moon's Haunted.
Yes, Moon's Haunted. Moon's Haunted, the two or 3-year-old meme at this point. They got brought back because of Shadowkeep. The guy who drew it even redid it to have a better quality version of it.
And then it popped up
talking
again
about
for
Sea Machine?
me because there was an article put out
You
that
talking about-
NASA was putting small arms on their rockets for their
Yes.
landing crafts.
And then that post on Twitter got bombarded with the moon's haunted meme.
Yep, and then it just they merged.
Well, I know basically Sea Machine, I think, drew the Destiny version originally, and then Farian redid it for Shadowkeep, and like made it into the poster and everything.
Yeah, someone made a poster out of it.
That's right.
Let's see. The guy who did the old strip, he did it himself.
Really?
The guy, yeah, the person who had like the original strip he did it himself, but the poster was a different artist for sure. I forgot. I'm trying to find it here.
So I know you're talking about the one that's like
Ikora really talking to the Titan, Moon's haunted.
Yeah, it's Sea Machine. It's Sea Machine.
Yeah, is that his name? How do you spell that? Just
her name.
Sea Machine.
Hold on, I got you. Hold on one second.
How do you spell that? Sea Machine. It's just like the water. It's probably hidden somewhere.
Okay, so the NASA thing that I came out was last June.
Yeah, she based it off of the NASA thing.
Yeah. No, wait, no. Oh no. I guess so. Okay, I guess so.
So, but yeah, with Shadowkeep, the Vanguard receives a distress call from Eris Morn on the moon.
We didn't receive a distress call from her.
I thought something brought us to the moon.
Yeah, the Scarlet Keep started showing activity.
That's what it was. Thank you.
But beforehand, there's that small cutscene where Eris discovers something deep in the moon, and we didn't know what it was at the time. But we all guessed. And then it goes into the first mission, which I think is called Mysterious Disturbance. And we go there. That's when we fight some hive ghosts. Is like, what is up with all this? And then Zavala's like, we've been monitoring this Scarlet Keep for months, but we have not seen a spike of activity until now. Like, in my head, once I heard that line, like, what do you mean, Zavala? You have a hive structure just appearing from the ground, and you did nothing. You remember what happened on the moon, Zavala? The thousands of guardians that were murdered by Crota from each sweep of his sword.
When nobody listened to Lord Shaxx, by the way. Just throwing it out there, because Shaxx
Lord
definitely
Shaxx
warned.
was like, this is a bad idea.
Nah, you don't know what to talk about Shaxx.
I feel like
Guardians.
This game's history has shown that people just need to shut up and listen to Shaxx a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Anyways,
you said people just need to what?
Shut up and listen to Shaxx.
Essentially,
especially when he starts reading his book.
I mean,
what is it called? The Tempest.
Apparently, Mara shut up and listened to Shaxx.
Oh boy.
So
and then she shut up and listened.
We fight through the hive. And we go deep into the tunnels of the moon, and we discover something that we have been seeing glimpses of through the seasons. Now, if your guardian did do the Invitations of the Nine during the season of the Drifter, your ghost will say, that's not supposed to be there. Why is it there? If you didn't do the invitations, your ghost is like, what is this?
I didn't know they did that. That's cool.
Yes.
It's a neat little ship.
It's the pyramid ship. It's an old concept art from D1 of it, what looks like to be glassing planets. They changed the design slightly, but overall it's the same. And we're like, this is not right. This doesn't seem right. So we go further in. We fight some Thrall, and the ghost is like, these aren't Thrall. They're not reading any no biometrics of Hive. And then this is where we fight. We run up to this small arena area looking place, and this barrier stops us from getting closer to the ship. And then from this mass in the barrier, Crota steps out. And then everyone who has ever done Crota's End is like, oh crap. The good old days of Crota's End, back when it's all glitch-like. Crota walking up to the spawn zone, killing you.
Yeah, I feel like just, having a boss thrown at you, you see that giant health bar appear at the bottom, and you're only on the first mission, you're just like...
Oh, yeah. Or the fact that once you get his health down, he regenerates.
That was terrifying.
You get Crota's health down, and suddenly his health starts regenerating, and then Gaul and Tanix and Skolas pop up, and like, what's happening? And then suddenly Eris Morn comes out of nowhere and starts speaking Cthulhu to you.
Yeah, I got that cutscene like, damn, I really need to brush up on my Eldritch.
He said Eris Morn starts speaking Cthulhu to you.
I mean, she teleports you away from these enemies because you can't kill them. And she's like, this is a darkness that has plagued the system for for generations. And our guardian's like, what are you going to do? Eris Morn smiles and says, let's go inside.
I don't like Eris Morn's smile.
It was very creepy. I was very unsettled. Like, this isn't something you do. This is unsettling. Don't do it. Be your broody self. Don't smile.
I had a really uncomfortable theory about this,
You
but
think it was
I'll
Avathun?
wait until we...
You think it was Avathun being Eris?
I mean, it's entirely possible.
Anything is possible. We could be Zavathun.
Yeah,
It's Zavathun.
the chalice
Zavathun in the Books of Sorrows disguised
This is a whole
herself as
nother
a
tangent,
race
bro.
that they were trying to kill, made internal strifes, and then killed the entire race. She's a shapeshifter. She can do whatever she wants. She could be in that tower right now.
What if she was actually the Crown of Sorrow and then infected Callus, and then the whole menagerie is just basically Callus trying to convince us to put on the crown once we like accept his invitation.
It's not.
I know everything's wrong with that. I'm just throwing out some random nonsense.
Oh, yeah, okay. So we decide to listen to Eris Morn because we're not stupid, and we are tasked with hunting the nightmares. But first, we gotta collect a tool called... Someone say it for me. Cryptoglyph, thank you. And using this device, we could craft armor, which would allow us to pass the barrier protecting the ship. I believe is the red stuff that you see growing on the walls of Hive Architecture. Like a warding spell. Been growing and taking over, turning our Hive Architecture red. My personal theory on that. Because the edges of it glow as if it was slowly growing across it. But anyways, we hunt nightmares with this tool, and we make this armor that allowed us to pass through the ship. And as we got closer to the ship, suddenly the ship tractor beams us in towards it.
Oh gosh.
That freaked me out too. I'm like, why am I floating?
I was running through the campaign with a friend, and then like, I have no idea what to do here. So I did the natural hunter thing and jumped off the ledge towards the ship. And then I got yoinked out of the air. I'm like, oh boy.
Oh yeah. And then as you get closer to the ship, your ghost starts going wonky and gets possessed by the darkness.
Oh god, that was...
Or I guess, as a side note, that the theory is that these beings that own the ships are called the Veil. They are like the Guardians towards the Traveler, but in the darkness attunement.
Right.
Which it's because there's an old interview with the Bungie employees saying that these species is the same relationship with the darkness as the Guardian is to the light. Now, that may not be the case anymore. They may have changed the writing because it was an old interview, and they may have decided to make this just the darkness, but at the current moment, we don't know. So I'm going to say on a limb on my theory that this veil, darkness, took possession of the ghost and used it as a speaker to talk to us. Because... what was his line they showed on the trailers? We have been waiting so very long for you.
The interesting thing to me about this that I think kind of that all of what's about to happen kind of leads up to is just, the darkness, one of the, just like the light, and the Traveler and stuff have all these different names and titles and stuff like that. You have the light as being known as the form, and the darkness being known as the formless. So the direction they go with this mission and these entities possessing our ghost, essentially putting us in a position where it's like, all right, yeah, you're in our world now. Let's have a conversation.
Being all haunted like in the moon.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was really interesting because I covered this in the Focused Fire chat podcast when I was on it, that the way the whatever is talking to us through the ghost talks to us is like they're trying to sow seeds of doubt about the Traveler and the Light as we confront past enemies. We fight Gaul. This voice is like, he killed dozens and hundreds of Guardians, and the Traveler did nothing. Which is not true, technically. He did something at the end. She did something at the end. And then you go to the Fanatic. Kay died, and the Light did nothing. And then we get to the Crota part, and like, Crota killed thousands of Guardians, and the Light did nothing. And they give us this weird spooky orb artifact that's in the shape of the Traveler.
I mean, was there something specific about it that you say it's the Traveler, or is it just because it's a sphere?
It's a sphere, but also the circles on the sphere correspond to the glowing alliance in the Traveler.
Did not know that. Okay.
I did not notice that. It was very quick.
But that could just be like, a general geometric shape thing.
It does sound a little...
But that sounds a little too on the nose for not to be a coincidence. Like, not to mean something.
Yeah.
But this artifact we collect, we touch it, and then we're given to like a full 3D vision of our Guardian in the Black Garden, where a mirror of our Guardian walks up and talks to us, which is like a step up from possessing our ghost. To just like Spider-Man meme talking to us. Or I'm not you, but you but better. And they basically, it's like they don't really threaten us. They say they're not our enemy. They're not our friends. They are our salvation, which is interesting because
I'm a hunter, by the way.
They use salvation as a capital S, and the Drifter in one line uses salvation as a capital S. About
yes,
Gambit.
That's right. He says
this game is your salvation.
Oh boy.
So there's a lot of stuff we can tie into that if we ever talk about the light and dark in an episode. This vision disappears. We return to our ship and we give this artifact to Eris. And she tells us basically, don't trust them. Their words are full of lies, but even lies can show us intentions. So she's like, I'll keep this artifact. We will read these transmissions it gives us, but we won't trust them.
And so, with that, every week your Guardian could go back to Eris Morn to receive a transmission, and that transmission ended up being the Revelations lore book.
Yes. I would love to talk about them, but...
That's a whole other thing.
But no time. And the first transmission gives us the first lore page, but also sends us back to the Black Garden, where we fight... What faction was it of the Vex?
The Soul Divisive. Or Soul Divisive.
Where even other Vex try to stay out of their way, because they're weird. We kill these Vex, and we discover another pyramid ship in the Black Garden, with another veiled lady statue, where we get some loot. And that, so far, is the end of anything related to the darkness at this current moment, which is 12 days before the season of Dawn ends. And this, after the Garden of Salvation, this leads us into the more major events of the Season of Undying, where...
Which is essentially the Vex...
Yeah.
It was essentially the...
Vex Offensive.
The Vex Offensive, which was a response by the Vex of the Soul Divisive. In response to us doing our raid and invading the Black Garden, they invaded the moon. And so we pushed them back, collecting components of Vex and turning them into Ikora, who over the course of a few months built a Vex gate in the tower.
It was
in the bazaar.
The way she actually used that tech was not really a Vex gate, but it
was something to connect to the network.
It was something to connect to the network, but they placed it over a Vex portal. So to me, it was more like a forced transmission than just stepping into a gate. Like, it was a focusing beam in the Vex network,
right?
Not like
it was
just
something,
the portal itself,
like an anchor point.
Yeah. Right, something that they could attune to the specific frequency of the Undying Mind.
The Undying Mind has been a thorn in our side since Destiny 1. We killed it back in Vanilla. It returned during Taken King because the Vex undid its death. And then it came back again here But the only difference is we don't just decide to kill it in our timeline. To end its possibility of coming back, Ikora tells us to kill it in every timeline imaginable. That's what the portals
millions of timelines.
Did Bungie ever release how many were actually killed? Because I would like to know that number.
Yes, they there was a statistic where they showed how many Undying Minds were, how many offensives were completed, so how many Undying Minds were killed. That would take me time to find it, because I'd have to search through this week's at Bungie's for like a while.
Oh, you're right. Well, that's
but
a personal curiosity
a lot.
to satisfy later.
Okay,
but
let's just put this in this conceptual method. Parallel universes, alternate timelines, basically run as this. Do I do this or do that? 2 timelines. Now each timeline splits into 2 more timelines and 2 more timelines and 2 more timelines. And that's just through one action each time. Multiply that by an almost infinite number of possibly different variables. And that will be the number of times we killed the Undying Mind, which is an inconceivable number. Let's just say, as a nice estimate, every player who has ever played Destiny is a guardian in the world of Destiny. So as a very large, as I don't know, has ever played Destiny ever, I'm going to say 10 million. Like, if they touch it for a second, or has continued playing it, 10 million. And
yeah, just about.
And offensive, if you're with a good team, could take 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
30 minutes, how many 30-minute increments are in 2 weeks? Multiply that increment number by 10 million, and that is the possible number of Undying Minds killed, which I'm going to say 8 trillion. But it's like, this are very, like, I'm guessing numbers here.
Right.
We're probably in the high billions,
300,
low trillions.
You said
how many 30 minutes are in a week? Okay, let me do the math here. There are 24 hours times 7. That's how many hours times 60 for minutes divided by 30. 336 minutes times that by 10 million. That's 3.36 billion. And times that by 2 for the 2 weeks. 6.2 billion. Okay, I was off by a factor of 1,000. But still, 6.72 billion Undying Minds were slain as a rough basic ballpark estimate. Now, that doesn't come into account that maybe Guardians ran the offensive multiple times, which then you can increase that number tenfold to 67 billion if they did it 10 times in 2 weeks, or if you're glad 1,000 times in a week. So this is basically the ballpark numbers of how many Undying Minds were killed before the Undying Mind no longer became a problem for us.
Yeah.
And this caused a crazy thing that leads into Shadow of Dawn, which we'll cover after we talk about the Pit of Heresy.
Which is by far some of the darkest Hive shit I've read. And I thought the Book of Sorrow.
Come on.
I thought the book... Dude, like, there's something about the Pit of Heresy that fundamentally disturbed me. Because I felt like I had a really...
Necropolis?
Well, not so much as that. It's just like have you read the full book?
I have not read all of the Inquisition of the Damned yet, no.
Yeah, dude. Like, if you read it, it's pretty scary. Because basically, the Pit of Heresy is essentially a battleground where the Hive of the Hidden Swarm gathered to determine who would be king in Crota's place, since Crota has been slain and they've essentially been leaderless. And while Crota's daughters look from on high in judgment upon the knights and acolytes that are essentially just slaughtering each other in this pit, three siblings of the Hidden Swarm plot to take the throne, but they do it in a blasphemous way. They do something that's an affront to sword logic, which
necromancy?
No, it's not necromancy. It's something that I had no idea that the Hive could do. They basically, essentially, you had one of them was a wizard, and the other was a acolyte. I think they were both acolytes. No. One was a wizard, one was a knight, and one was an acolyte. The knight, I can't remember. but basically, it's 3 high siblings, right? And essentially, one was a very strong and prominent warrior, but he had been crippled by guardians, so he couldn't fight. But he had this fiery warrior spirit and had all this power, but couldn't utilize it anymore because he had, lost a limb or something. His sister, that's what it was. His sister was a wizard, and she had a very strong body. She had a very strong body, but could not physically fight the way an acolyte could because she just had not the know-how. So their sister essentially learns No, dude. Their sister learns the death song and basically sings the death song to pull her sister's soul out of her body. Oh. So again, wizard soul out of the body, and basically lets her sister die, like soul just go to the ether, and then she pulls her brother's soul out of his body and puts it into the wizard's body, which is again completely able-bodied, but now
soul transfer. Interesting. She must have modified the death song then.
Yes, she did. And so literally you have this wizard now that's double wielding cleavers and is going on a fucking rampage.
Do we fight that in the Pit of Heresy?
No. Have you done Pit of Heresy yet?
I have not. No.
I haven't had the pleasure either.
No. So basically, in the pit, essentially, there was already a champion while all this weird shit was going on. There was already a champion that was rising named Zolmak. And then this double cleaver wielding wizard comes and just slaughters Zolmak, right? And then to absorb this power, basically the sister kills this wizard and kind of takes all this power into herself so she can further practice the death song. I really kind of need to get into, I need to reread some parts and stuff like that, but I know essentially this sister who has taken all this forbidden knowledge is basically called in to meet someone who basically tells her that they kind of have left these breadcrumbs, and the assumption is that this person was Savathun, or this entity was Savathun.
It's pretty confirmed that Savathun was behind everything the Hidden Swarm did during this event.
Right, but now get this, right? Now that Zolmak's dead, Savathun, or another entity, goes to Crota's sisters and gives them knowledge on how to resurrect Zolmak and make him just a fucking killing machine, right? So what you fight in the Pit of Heresy is actually this re-empowered, resurrected Zolmak.
Yeah, that's right. He's the final link. Because
Fire Crota.
No, that they have the Urrock, the Flame Prince from Prison of Elders.
Yeah, but you haven't seen Zolmak. Zolmak is essentially Fire Crota.
I've seen the ending of it, but the last few pages of the Inquisition of the Damned confirmed that it was Savathun controlling the Hidden Swarm. Mm-hmm. She gave them Zolmak, but she wanted to use the Hidden Swarm and Zolmak as a whetstone to sharpen the blade of the Guardian's power. She's using our Guardian right now to gain power, to either defeat the darkness or to be killed by her, to give her so much power it's an inconceivable amount because of how powerful our Guardian is. I don't think she has ever killed anything and devoured its power to the level of Oryx, and we are beyond that. So she would probably increase her power 10-fold that way.
Well, that's a scary thought.
Listen, dude, all of the whole of Inquisition of the Dam is
and she's already harnessing black holes.
The Inquisition of the Dam, actually, interestingly enough, actually gives idea of the sheer scale of power that the Death Song actually has. Like, essentially, there's a chapter where it basically explains that a group of Death Singers went to a planet, and essentially, it was like a group of 20, and together, the 20 of them essentially destroyed this planet with the Death Song.
Anything that can hear the Death Song can be killed by the Death Song. So what they probably did is they had all 20 of them in it's a term basically means they were all 20 of them were evenly laid out across the circumference or surface area of the planet, so they would cover the most range, and they killed everything just by speaking the Death Song.
Yep, essentially.
What is the word?
Do you mean
it's something?
It's not geocentric.
Geosynchronized.
Not geocentric. It's geo question something. It's like there's a Q in there. It was from an episode of Doctor Who. Okay. Yeah. So.
But brings us
to the end of Shadowkeep. We really can't cover Season of Dawn because it's not over yet. So we will end the episode here, and this is, at this current moment, the ending of the main timeline of Destiny. So these future episodes will now be topic-based.
I'm actually really excited.
Kind of can't say what the next topic will be at the moment. I want to do the Books of Sorrow, but it's such a big thing. I'm gonna have to write more on it.
I mean,
because that'll probably be a 3-parter. Books of Sorrow. We'll probably do like an episode of Books of Sorrow, then other topics, and then Books of Sorrow, then other topics, then Books of Sorrow. Just even it out.
There's a lot to
There's a lot to cover.
There really is.
A lot to cover. A Light, Dark, Fallen, Vex, Cabal, Guardians. A lot of
and
stuff.
There's a lot of stuff
Golden
we
Age,
can cover. I mean,
Dark Age, Collapse,
weapon lore,
the Crucible, so much things. We're going to cover it all eventually. Don't worry. It will take longer. It will take a while, but we'll cover it.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Until then, thank all of you for watching and supporting us and listening.
We will see you in 2 weeks. Have a nice night.
Have a good night.
Yes.
Thanks for stopping by.